Can you ever imagine having a prom proposal, meaning you would ask your girlfriend to the prom for your to your senior prom, and then all of a sudden you get hit by a car. Then you want to sue the school district after they planned it out for you, like they're your friend. It's exactly what happened in the story you're about to see. The school district is now facing a lawsuit after that prom proposal. After that prom proposal, the school district is now facing a lawsuit over that accident. And as the camera will show you, it can be very disturbing to watch. A warning: what you're about to see is graphic, and I do stand by it. So I ask your children to leave the room right now. I don't want no kids under 18 watching this. Take a look.
Security cameras captured the crash here at Arizona College Prep High School back in April. The attorney representing that injured student tells us the principal and school resource officer didn't do anything to prevent what you're about to see.
EMS on the way. We got an accident in the parking lot.
The student lying on the ground in pain is senior William Vanasap.
Can you move your leg at all?
Class had just gotten out for seniors, and Vanasap was leaving campus on his motorcycle when another student in this Porsche reportedly sped right through a stop sign and crashed into Vanasap, launching him into the air.
The estimated speed of the car involved that was being driven by the student was over 40 miles an hour.
Attorney April Spielman is representing Vanasap. She claims the student blowing past the stop sign on school grounds was no accident. It was planned. This all started with the student asking his girlfriend out to a school dance.
Yes, it was not a good plan.
A promposal gone horribly wrong.
He very easily could have died in this accident by just milliseconds difference in timing.
According to this notice of claim, the student behind the wheel had his girlfriend in the passenger seat. The plan was for him to speed through the stop sign, get pulled over by the school resource officer, then while acting like he was in trouble, pull out a sign that asked his girlfriend to prom. Spielman also claims the SRO and school principal were in on the plan and allowed it to happen.
Those adults at the school should have said, no, we're not going to do this.
Body camera footage from the SRO reportedly shows him and the student talking about it after the crash. The claim also has his reported statements to police, where he said in part that he talked with law enforcement and school administration about the promposal and that they agreed to it. However, the school's principal claims that's not the case, even though he was in the SRO's police cruiser moments before the crash happened.
I believe that the principal at the school also knew.
As for Vanasap, he's still recovering from the crash.
He sustained a traumatic brain injury. He's been emotionally very harmed by this incident.
Now seeking $1 million to settle a situation Spielman says could have been prevented. The notice of claim does not go after the student driver, and Chandler police told me the team did not receive any traffic citations from that day because the crash happened on private property. We're in Chandler tonight. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
Why can't you just do it on private property? Why not do it on public sidewalk? I mean, private property. I mean, the police would have been called, but the SRO got involved in all this. So we need to raise both common sense for the school and the student, one alarm at a time. So let's begin with this. Let's begin with that accident. Here's the thing. If you're going to plan a proposal for your girlfriend, you need to make sure that it's safe. I mean, we can do skydive down the prom. I mean, just follow your girlfriend in the house and find out where she lives, and then just put up a sign saying, "Take me to prom." That's what you can do. But all of a sudden, not go head on. The common sense perspective of this: if you're going to do a prom proposal, you need to do it safely. Second common sense alert. Yeah, this one goes out to the school district and the SROs and the principal. What were you thinking? I mean, let me go back to what you said. I mean, going back to that lawsuit. It's what the suit says. I mean, you may sit there and say, well, we had nothing to do with this. You had everything to do with it. It was all planned out. I mean, that was a notice of claim. That's the attorney. Prior to collision, APH came with an idea to plan to ask a girl named Blank to the school dance. Prom proposal, the students call it, was for Blank to have Blank riding with him in a car when he was, I believe, in a school and run a stop sign located in the parking lot. Joshua Benson will be involved in waiting for the parking lot police to pull over. And then, there's no dispute. Then he agreed to run a stop sign. I mean, if you hadn't run a stop sign, just block the traffic and it would have been like, hey, you want to go to prom with me? It's common sense. I mean, you're the ones that allowed this to happen. Principal Bix knew about the prom proposal and agreed to the plan when it should have happened. I mean, this has to be approved. If you're going to be creating a prom proposal that's going to be epic, you need to get it approved by the district, by your school principal. That way it can be safe and fun for the entire family. Instead of you trying to sit there and say, oh, well, I never knew this happened before. I didn't know this happened. So the bottom line here is this. If you're going to plan a prom proposal like I said, you're going to plan a prom proposal next time, make sure it's safe. And good and safe. Good and safe, that way everyone can go to the prom and have a great night of their lives. Unlike this one. He's got a good case, and I hope it goes to court. We'll bring you updates as they go along. Yesterday we told you about an insurance story involving 2 victims and 1 company. Now that same company was not paying the victims of Hurricane Harvey back in 2005. What was really going on? And later, this person was denied claim because of what? Because of the accident. Was it the benefit of the doubt? That's all coming up. Stay with us. Yesterday we brought you an insurance story, The Paper Chase. It was a 15-month investigation by Dateline looking into sealed court records, thousands of documents, talked to a bunch of sources, breaking computer codes to tell what some of the insurance company don't want you to know. We've heard from 2 victims, a president, and all insiders who told their sides of the story. It was all because of State Farm. But now State Farm is under attack. If you remember in 2005 or 6, Hurricane Katrina happened. And if you remember, it destroyed a lot of homes in New Orleans. And State Farm and they say that, and a lot of people said State Farm refused to build all their homes and pay for whatever happened. But now you're going to hear from 2 former State Farm insurance adjusters who knew about the plan, but said, well, just listen to what I have to say. Here's Brian Ross.
Katrina was devastating. But so was State Farm. A lot of people were cheated. They wanted the people to know that we had arrived.
And these 2 sisters say they saw the cheating firsthand as independent adjusters working exclusively for State Farm Insurance.
For all the world, you were State Farm.
For your State Farm.
Tonight, Corey Rigsby and her younger sister Carrie are speaking publicly for the first time about what they say went on inside the country's largest insurance company.
Until this storm, we were very proud to work with State Farm, and we did believe they always did the right thing. We've never seen any activity like this.
What they say they saw at State Farm's Katrina offices in Mississippi was supervisors demanding that damage reports be buried, replaced, or changed so that insurance claims would not have to be paid.
We realized this is widespread.
This damage report, the sisters say, would have backed up a policyholder's claim, but it was hidden in a special file with instructions: do not pay bill, do not discuss.
I consider this to be a smoking gun.
At one point, they even took pictures of a special shredding truck. State Farm says it shreds documents to protect policyholder privacy. The sisters believe it was done to destroy key documents.
We felt, I think shock was at first, because State Farm to put themselves out there for fraudulent activity like this is huge, knowing that they could get caught.
The Rigsby sisters' allegations, if proven, would support the suspicions of thousands of homeowners along the Mississippi Gulf Coast who have not been able to get the insurance money to rebuild their homes. State Farm covers almost a third of the homeowners in this area, and in lawsuits, many accuse it and other insurance companies of wrongly denying or lowballing their claim.
It's cruel and it's fraud and it's every damn thing bad I can think about it. This was the front porch, these stanchions.
Retired Dr. Wesley McFarland says he was outraged to be told by the State Farm adjuster he would collect nothing for the total loss of his $400,000 home where his family had lived for decades. Devastating news for him and especially for his wife, Rosemary.
And she just sat there and she cried a little bit and she said, well, what are we going to do?
The Winds, refugees from Vietnam who scrimped and saved to make a home for their 3 children, got the same devastating news from State Farm.
When I was told that they denied my claim, I came out here and I cried. I sat on this one right here, and I cried till 3:30 in the morning.
Wind damage is supposed to be covered under State Farm policy. And during Katrina, there were gusts of up to 145 miles an hour. But water damage is not covered. The Rigsby sisters say what they discovered was that State Farm did whatever it could to find the damage was caused by water, to avoid having to pay.
So as long as it's water
As long
damage,
as it's water.
they're very happy.
They're very happy.
But if it's wind damage, then everything changes. Then they're on the hook.
Exactly.
The sisters say they saw a senior State Farm coordinator go to great lengths to pressure outside engineers to prepare reports concluding that damage was caused by water, not wind.
And she pulled out an engineer report and she was flipping through it. Can you believe this engineer said wind damage? Call this company and tell them if they don't change their report, we're not paying their invoice.
You heard that.
I was standing a foot from it.
And I believe she then followed up by saying, look at all these, and she had a stack of engineering reports
On her desk.
on her desk, and she said, look at all these engineering reports that have to go back or have to be changed.
It took 3 engineering reports for State Farm to get one that concluded the wind's damage was caused by water. State Farm mistakenly sent her the first 2, which both concluded wind damage was predominantly to blame.
They tried to cheat me. They tried to cheat me right here.
The Winds, now living in a trailer, have hired a lawyer to sue State Farm.
Whoever said calm comes after the storm probably had a State Farm agent.
In its commercials and slogans, State Farm has long cultivated its image as the good neighbor.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They are not a good neighbor and they're not our friend anymore. They are not.
But the company says it has paid more than $1 billion in claims in Mississippi and denies cheating anyone.
We have not been cheated. Of course we have not been cheated.
Instead of a company official, State Farm provided a Mississippi lawyer, Wayne Drinkwater, who told me in advance he had not been given the facts to answer many of our questions.
Brian, I don't know what the facts are behind this. I don't know what happened. Brian, I don't know the facts behind this case, as I have told you.
But State Farm's lawyer strongly denied the company had demanded changes in engineering reports to harm policyholders.
You put no pressure on the firm.
To come to any kind of pre-set result, we do not do that.
You don't promise more work or take away work?
Based on results of reports, we do not do that.
Because we're told by people who work for you that's exactly what happened right here.
Brian, that is not State Farm's policy, and as far as I know, we have no evidence that that has occurred.
But it's not just the Rigsby sisters who say something funny has happened with the engineering reports. Certified engineer James Can Overstreet says his report about the cause of the damage to the house that once stood here was secretly changed.
When I came out here, there was just snap trees everywhere. You know, just from the basis of that, there's a percentage wind damage to the house.
His initial report concluded the damage was caused in large part by the wind. But Overstreet says someone, apparently at the engineering firm, wrote a new report for State Farm 3 months later, changing the conclusions from wind to water, and then signed his name without his knowledge or approval.
Is that your signature?
No, mine's a little different than that.
You didn't sign this?
No.
Did you write the words saying that it was rising waters and waves?
No, mine said wind, combination of wind.
So somebody else wrote this and put your name to it?
That's what it appears.
The engineering firm denies being pressured and says it stands by the final report.
I can do the print now.
The Rigsby sisters have now downloaded thousands of documents from State Farm computer files and turned them and their own detailed statements over to federal and state prosecutors and to Mississippi's best-known trial lawyer.
my eyes popped out on the altered engineering reports and the systematic way in which they were going about treating homeowners.
Dickie Scruggs, the lawyer who took on the big tobacco companies, is now taking on State Farm. And the Rigsby sisters' allegations are a big part of his lawsuits.
And the Rigsby sisters, they know where the bodies are buried. They know who's who in that organization. They know how it works.
And do you think the sisters have evidence that goes to criminal behavior?
If this isn't criminal, nothing is.
State Farm's lawyer maintained he had never heard of the Rigsby sisters.
You're familiar with them?
I am not.
Is State Farm familiar with them?
I do not know the answer to that.
The Rigsby sisters say that is hard to believe. They say they told State Farm and its lawyers that they had given prosecutors thousands of company documents.
And they said, okay, we just want to let you know right up front, this is what we've done. We believe there's been fraudulent activity and we've turned it over for investigation. And then we were suspended at that point.
For the Rigsby sisters, turning against State Farm was a big decision after working for the company for more than 8 years. But it was when they came across the case of Dr. McFarland that they decided they had no choice but to go to authorities.
And I had to be the one to tell them that we would not pay them any money for their home.
And you thought you were doing wrong?
Oh, absolutely. It was gut-wrenching. It was horrible. It was wrong, and we were hurting him, and we didn't have to.
All Dr. McFarland and his wife could do was to collect from the limited federal flood insurance program. They were forced to live in a trailer just a few feet from where the family home once stood. Rosemary McFarland will never see their home rebuilt. She died this June.
That contributed to Rosemary's death.
How so?
Because she started going down. Everybody, they're suffering almost a morbid depression. They're depressed.
You blame State Farm?
Yeah, they haven't got any money from their insurance that they thought they had, which would have put them back into their lives.
In response to our story, State Farm says it's launched an independent investigation into the allegations made by Corey and Carrie Rigsby.
But now we know what happened. So now you can express what happened after Hurricane Katrina when insurance companies say, well, this is this and this and this. It's fraud. So bottom line is, I mean, if you feel like they're doing something like this, contact your lawyer and they'll take care of it. All right, another insurance story. Coming up next, this man says that his insurance company did not pay him. In fact, they won't pay him anymore, including the medical bills. What was going on? John Larson with the benefit of the doubt. Stay with us. Insurance. We buy it for peace of mind to cover our homes, our health, even our lives. And millions of people have disability insurance. If you can't work, those benefits may be crucial to you and your family. But here's a question for you. What if all of a sudden your benefits were cut off or unpaid for? That's what happens. That's what happened to people in this next story. New strong accusations from one person in a company who says they did not do their best. Here's John Larson.
It began on this stretch of Interstate 40 in Albuquerque, New Mexico in February of 1998. A car salesman swerves to avoid some rocks, and the world suddenly turns upside down.
The nurses and all the physicians there were saying, do you have any feeling? Can you move your legs? And I kept telling them I can't feel anything from the chest down.
The accident had severed John Montano's spinal cord. Although he was spared some limited use of his arms, he's considered a quadriplegic, paralyzed for life. And what lay ahead could hardly have looked worse. Unable to work or support his family, Montano faced losing everything. But like millions of Americans, he had prepared for just such a disaster. He had paid $59 a month for disability insurance, which promised if he was ever too sick or too injured to keep working, it would help replace his lost income. The checks began arriving as promised, but after 2 years he got a shocking letter. His disability benefits were being cut off.
I was scared, I was frightened. I go, well, there's got to be a mistake.
But there was no mistake. Montano's insurance company had decided that, despite his paralysis, he no longer deserved benefits. So what was going on? Sources tell Dateline that what happened to John Montano may have been part of something much larger. Tonight, a Dateline investigation into whether the largest disability carrier in the United States, Unum Provident, launched a company-wide effort to cut costs aggressively and, in the process, unfairly denied benefits, selling out people it promised to protect.
They just basically cut me off and that was it.
In Montano's case, Unum Provident claimed to have good reason. It said it had surveillance tape, that Montano had improved immensely, and he should go back to work selling cars.
Was there any way that John was faking his quadriplegia?
Absolutely not. There's no way.
Dr. Jonathan Berg is Montano's doctor.
This is the area of his, basically the area of his paralysis.
He says the records are clear. Montano is a quadriplegic.
Did you tell the company, look, I'll take any test you want me to take?
Yes.
And so did they do that? Did they evaluate you?
No, I didn't hear back from them.
The disability and life insurance industry says it faces $1.5 billion in fraudulent claims every year. So you can understand why it might investigate Montano's claim. But when Unum Provident finally shared its surveillance tape, Dr. Berg says it showed nothing new. Just John Montano driving his specially equipped van, demonstrating what everyone already knew. Montano had a limited use of his upper arms. In a letter to Unum Provident, Dr. Berg stated, by all standards, this man is completely and totally disabled. Meanwhile, his benefits cut off, Montano spiraled towards bankruptcy. His wife had divorced him after the accident. Now, faced with losing his home and his children, he says he became suicidal.
Sounds like it was pretty close.
Yeah.
So how could something like this happen? These people say they know.
They have to lose to get their benefits.
These three former Unum Provident employees tell a disturbing story of a company obsessed with finding excuses to cut off benefits.
Did you feel pressure to deny claims?
Absolutely.
They asked Dateline to conceal their identities because they're afraid of reprisals.
Find ways to close claim. Just look so very carefully to find anything that will disqualify them from claim. They even gave incentives.
Incentives how?
Incentives for closing claims. If we projected that we're going to close 30, if we get to 30, we'll have a pizza party, or we'll have an ice cream party.
Would the company pressure employees to terminate claims? Financial reports show that in 1993, the company was losing millions. Then came new management and a complete reversal. It began making millions. How did they do it? Unum Provident says by restructuring and making smart business decisions. But internal documents suggest the company had a new game plan to help it deny as many claims as it could.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
This man, Dr. William Feast, was one of Provident's 2 staff physicians when new management took over in 1993. He left the company 2 years later. Here, in a deposition, he describes under oath how the company changed.
There was no concern for the individual. It was just bottom line. If we can terminate this file, we're going to do it.
Dr. Feast says the company first began targeting the policyholders who were costing the company the most money at meetings called roundtables.
The object of the roundtable was to cut off the high dollar claims.
Unum Provident urged Dateline not to believe Dr. Feast, saying his knowledge of the company is outdated and that he has twice signed affidavits which included false information. Dr. Feast says they were simple mistakes. And remember, Dr. Feast is not the only one speaking out.
It became a witch hunt.
These people say they encountered similar roundtables years later.
It was all looking for loopholes to close the claim.
And if you can't do it, we'll have a team of experts here to figure out how you can.
It was mandatory. Even if you didn't have a claim, you better find one.
They say most vulnerable were policyholders with so-called subjective illnesses. Illnesses that don't show up on X-rays or MRIs, like mental illness, chronic pain, migraines, or even Parkinson's.
So they're fatigued. Prove it. You know, so they got achy joints. Prove it. Why can't they work?
And if they can't prove it,
They're out of there.
denied.
Denied.
And they are not the only ones saying this. In all, 10 Unum Provident employees agreed to speak with Dateline, but only if we promise not to reveal their names. We can tell you this about them. Their jobs range from claim representatives all the way up to vice presidents. Some left the company on their own, some were fired, and some still work at Unum Provident. But all have described the same atmosphere, one of intense pressure coming from management down to employees, pressure to cut off benefits to policyholders. Dateline also searched thousands of pages of internal corporate documents and court records, and found evidence that appears to back up what they say. This is a series of internal monthly reports that show company savings seem to be growing, the result of cutting claims. Terminated claims have reached a record level. And we found evidence that suggests the company set goals for cutting claims, deciding ahead of time how many claims should be denied. Like this 1995 top-level memo, it spells out a company-wide goal to terminate $132 million in claims. Here, an internal email from last year alerting a group of adjusters they have 1 week to close 18 more claims to meet our projections. These people say if they didn't meet their projections, they'd have what they called fire drills, intensive efforts to find claims to close.
The image is a fire drill, a bell goes off, everybody rallies to a cause. What was the cause?
The cause was looking for opportunities to close a file.
Deny claims.
Deny claims.
Unum Provident would not agree to an on-camera interview, but vehemently denies that it sets goals to terminate claims. In a letter to Dateline, it says it does estimate claim results to project a business plan into the future, which may have been mischaracterized or misinterpreted by others. Also, it says that it will pay $3.6 billion in benefits this year, and that of all the people who filed claims with Unum Provident last year, only 2% were found to be not disabled. And it says it has a consistent record in paying claims. Unum Provident is more than just claims people and managers. It's also doctors. Over 100 of them. Doctors sworn to do no harm. Wouldn't a Unum Provident doctor stop the company from cutting off disabled people? Not according to this policyholder.
If I could have every wish in the world, I'd wish that I could teach again. And see my kids get older. 2 wishes.
Once a healthy, vibrant school teacher from Illinois, Rosemary Wright began suffering from a progressive, fatal form of emphysema. Even the smallest activity can leave her gasping for breath. Her doctors say the kind of emphysema Wright has is genetic. It's not from smoking. The same disease had already killed her younger brother, and now it's killing her. When Wright became too sick to teach, Unum Provident began paying her disability benefits. But 2 years later, just as in John Montano's case, the company cut her off.
I opened that letter, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, why? I mean, this must be a mistake.
Unum Provident based its decision on the opinion of a Unum Provident staff doctor, who not only never examined Wright in person, but disregarded the opinions of Wright's 2 doctors, both lung specialists who had examined her and found her totally and completely disabled. So how could a Unum Provident doctor help cut her off? Dr. Fergal McSherry, who doesn't know Rosemary Wright, worked for Unum Provident for 1.5 years. He says it's more about the system than the doctor.
Doctor, were they interested in your honest, objective medical opinion?
No.
McSherry says doctors at Unum Provident were pressured to write narrow medical reports to help the company deny benefits.
We were a means to an end.
And the end was?
The end was denial.
And if too many of their opinions favored the claimants, McSherry says doctors would be reprimanded, in his case, by his boss.
I was told that I'd fallen off the career path.
What did you feel you had to do to get back on their career path?
You know, I was just going to have to do more of what the claims people wanted me to do, which
And what was that?
That was to make it easy for them to deny the claim.
Dr. McSherry says, like other doctors who work at Unum Provident, he succumbed to the pressure.
Did you ever change a medical opinion because you were being pressured?
Yes, I did.
These were cases where, in your best medical opinion, you thought these people were either sick or impaired or disabled.
I did that. I didn't want to lose my job. I didn't want to upset everybody around me. And I tried to play within the rules.
McSherry says he did it only a couple of times and vowed never to do it again. Even so, if what he's saying is true, they got his medical soul.
Yeah, I'm only human. I gave in once or twice. I just hope I didn't hurt somebody too badly.
Unum Providence says it doesn't pressure doctors to terminate claims. So what happened to Dr. McSherry? He was fired from Unum Provident for what the company calls poor performance. It also says Dr. McSherry was forced to resign from other jobs for similar reasons. But McSherry says that losing those other jobs had nothing to do with his performance, and the real reason he was fired from Unum Provident was that he began standing up to the company, refusing to play along. In fact, 5 of Dateline's sources back up Dr. McSherry's story, specifically that doctors were pressured to help cut off benefits. Dr. McSherry is now suing Unum Provident.
I don't have a problem with people setting targets, as long as those targets are reasonable and don't hurt people.
Were these targets reasonable?
No, not at all.
Did they hurt people?
They hurt people every day.
They didn't just take the money away from me, but they took a sense of dignity away from me.
After Unum Provident ended her disability payments, Rosemary Wright says she was forced to begin spending money she had saved for a lung transplant just to cover living expenses. Wright sued Unum Provident, which suddenly reversed itself, reimbursed her back benefits, and began paying her again. But Wright has not dropped her lawsuit and says the stress took its toll.
I wasn't sleeping. I was a wreck, and yes, last year was the sickest year I've ever had. I believe that they robbed me of a whole, almost a year of my life.
As for John Montano, the quadriplegic, he also filed suit against Unum Provident, and the company settled with him for an undisclosed amount of money.
In the end, what was this company's promise worth?
To me, nothing. Their word, the way they operate, they're totally unethical.
Unum Provident says it regrets how it handled the cases of Wright and Montano, but says they're exceptions. It also says it handles 400,000 new claims a year, and it does on occasion make a mistake. Yet in the eyes of at least one insurance commissioner, it may be more than an occasional mistake.
There are some substantial problem areas.
Georgia Insurance Commissioner John Oxendine told Dateline he began investigating Unum Provident's disability practices more than a year ago. He says his investigation should be complete by the end of the year.
Unless something radical changes, there probably will be some disciplinary action based on what we have already found.
Unum Provident says any problems in Georgia represent a small percentage of their overall claims, and it will do what is necessary to correct these issues. In the end, both Montano and Wright say no one should be treated the way they were treated. Cut off, abandoned by a company that had promised if the worst ever happened, it would be there for them.
It's like stealing. They should not be held accountable for that.
You make a mistake, you gotta make it right. That's the common sense perspective. Alright, another insurance story when we come back. This time it's all about Prudential and what it did back in the 90s. Diane Sawyer has that investigation. Stay with us. Now that we focus on disability insurance and regular insurance, we're on to life insurance now. Prudential, which is one of the companies that does a lot of life insurance. And if you remember back in the 90s or 80s, you may have had life insurance and had insurance with Prudential. But can you ever imagine being cut off because of what happened? You're about to hear some former employees from Prudential and meet some victims who say it happened to them. And you will see documents that have been uncovered that tell the whole story. Here's Diane Sawyer.
It's a $200 billion financial empire, with assets equaling the economy of many countries, like Sweden. The heart of Prudential's business is life insurance. More Americans buy it from Prudential than any other company. And as the ads say, the rock was built on trust.
They don't have to cheat people to make money, and we feel that we've been cheated, definitely.
Joe and Irene Sidlow are Florida retirees who say for them it began when their Prudential agent persuaded them to cash in their old Prudential policies and take out a mortgage on their home to buy a big new policy, nothing more to pay. But after the first year, they got a jolt, a premium bill they couldn't afford. They asked their agent about it.
It was $813 a month. And I said, what is this? And he said, oh, it's just a computer error. He said, don't worry about it, you're taken care of, just throw them away. So I did.
The Sidlows say they didn't realize that their agent was using a blank withdrawal form they naively signed to raid the cash value of the new policy to pay the premiums on it and keep his commission. Eventually, the whole scheme collapsed, and faced with large bills, the Sidlows felt they had no choice but sell their home.
He was our professional insurance man. You know, we trusted him. I trusted him like I do my banker, my pastor.
You come visit, okay? I will.
Carol Nicholson, who recently retired from Kmart, says she was the victim of a similar deception. She says her agent told her and her husband Keith that the dividends from their old life insurance policies would finance a new big one at no extra cost. But she says she didn't know that her agent was also using a blank withdrawal form to use not just the dividends, but the cash value of the old policies to pay for the new one.
They never came and said, Keith, you're taking a loan out against your policies, because I know what he would have told them. He would have told them a piece of his mind, and he would never have done this.
By the time her husband died of leukemia, the old policies were depleted, the new one lapsed. Instead of $130,000, Carol was left with $22,000.
You plan your future and then somebody disrupts it. It's not fair.
We had abuses that we're not proud of.
Priscilla Myers is a senior vice president and auditor at Prudential.
We recognize the mistakes that we've made, and we want to fix those mistakes. We want to let our policyholders know that we're serious about that.
And what an array of abuses there was. This is the task force report from last July, and it cites deceptive practices ranging from misleading customers about the cost and risk of what they're buying, to raiding old policies to pay for new ones, even disguising what they're selling, life insurance. Keep this in mind. Agents make their biggest commission on the sale of life insurance, and managers get a cut. And we were told there was unrelenting pressure to come up with tactics to make the sale. For instance, for the elderly in Florida, use murky language.
We affectionately call this area God's waiting room.
This is a Prudential training tape obtained by Primetime. In it, a company sales manager encourages agents to go after the savings of retirees, and in their pitch, avoid using the word people associate with life insurance payments, premium.
We would very seldom ever talk about a premium. You know, because it's painful writing that premium. That's why we went to the capital transfer. That's how we present it. Transferring from one institution to another. No pain.
And take a look at these marketing materials which agents use to sell life insurance. The problem? They make it sound like something it's not. For instance, calling it a private pension plan, a retirement plan, a nursing home plan, an alternative to savings.
They called it everything other than what it was. It was life insurance. I mean, it was
Don't mention the L word.
Rick Martin was a district manager at Prudential. Mike Weaver, a former agent. They are among dozens of whistleblowers who say they saw deception daily. Are you saying that you were giving the illusion of being an investment counselor? And in fact, you're selling life insurance.
Absolutely. Manager told me, he said, just sell it. We'll worry about it later. Just sell something.
These are some examples of how records were kept.
And Weaver showed us how routine it was to get customers to sign blank transfer forms like those that got Carol Nicholson and the Sidlows in trouble. He rummaged through the files from fellow agents in his old office.
This has 5 signed
Wait a minute.
forms.
There's nothing filled in on here.
Nothing.
Just signed.
These are signed. That's
Which
it.
means that they could put in for the
Anything
premium.
that they wanted. This is the same as giving someone blank checks out of your checking account.
Several agents told us signatures on the blank sheets sometimes were forged. And take a look at something else Primetime obtained.
And don't tell them right up front we're going to talk about a life insurance policy. We will explain that along the way in the presentation too.
This is another training tape in which a regional vice president of Prudential and an agent instruct other agents how you lure customers into the tent by skirting what you're really selling.
Let's get beyond that word insurance. Let's don't be concerned about what we call a plan. Let's just look at the end result.
There you go.
Let's get beyond that word insurance. Meaning,
Life insurance. Well, that's what it is. So call it what it is.
Bill Nelson, Florida's insurance commissioner, who just this week threatened to suspend Prudential's license in that state. So you're saying this is not just spinning it in the marketing sense. This is not putting the most positive gloss on what you're doing. This is deception.
This is outright deception. It's selling life insurance either as another kind of product, an investment kind of product, when in fact they're not being told that it actually is life insurance, and that's against the law.
And it was against the law. When we come back, we're going to hear more from presidents, and you're going to see a hidden camera experiment that was being made. Don't go away. Return to our look at Prudential's life insurance policy. If you're one of the millions of people who had life insurance years ago, or saw this method, you may want to watch the story again. You may want to watch this because this is very important to you and to the ones you love. With many people having life insurance with Prudential, it's like basically you getting a blank check. What's going to happen now? You're about to see more documents and more of that training tape and hear more sides of the story. Here again, Diane Sawyer.
We asked Priscilla Myers, what about those Prudential training tapes?
And don't tell them right up front we're going to talk about a life insurance policy. We will explain.
Don't tell them, it says.
Correct. That clearly is in violation of company policy.
This is a vice president doing it?
I think that's
management.
horrible. I think that's horrible. And had we known of that, we would have taken action against that group or that person.
I believe they're still in the company, aren't they? Myers was told, yes, these two still are. There's really only a couple of possibilities here. Either the management at the top was completely out of touch with what was going on in the company, or it was an implicit endorsement of it. This high up, this many training tapes, this widespread.
I think what the task force has said is that the company wasn't paying attention as aggressively as it should have been to the flags that were up.
So when then did senior management start to see it as a collective, widespread problem?
I would say that started coming together for us in the 92, 93, 94 period.
That's clearly untrue.
This is John Cressman, a former top auditor for Prudential, who is speaking out on television for the first time because he's concerned that even after the task force's blistering report, the company is still not telling the truth.
I have no doubt in my mind that senior management knew about this problem in 1986 and to some degree in 1983 also.
How does he know?
Prudential's home office sent a special auditing team here to Cedar Rapids.
Because his audit helped expose one local scandal in 1983 in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Our ABC affiliate, KCRG, interviewed agents who say on television that they were taught to raid old policies to pay for new ones.
You raid the cash value, anything that's in there.
Sell no matter what price. If you have to step on a client to make that buck, to push those people in management up higher, to get you up higher, my God, that's what you do.
At the time, Prudential executives said Cedar Rapids was an isolated case. But John Cressman says when he launched another audit in 1986, he documented that the problem was widespread, and he took those findings directly to senior management at Newark headquarters.
We told them as a result of all of those reviews that this was a company-wide problem that needed to be fixed, and that the controls we were recommending could not only detect the problem, but could lead management to the places they needed to fix it.
And Cressman wasn't the only one sounding the alarm. Here's a 1986 tape of District Manager Tony Toscano decrying troubling tactics he's seen.
Those clients are not getting what they deserve. They're getting screwed.
Rick Martin says starting in 1987,
I complained to 3 vice presidents of marketing.
he also talked to his regional head of consumer affairs, who in 1992 wrote a memo and sent it directly to the president of Prudential, warning, we are now truly struggling with the sins of the past because of tactics most new agents had been taught. But what did Prudential do?
The mentality of the company was to kill the messenger. They didn't want to hear about these problems because management was benefiting financially from the things that were happening.
Martin now sells mobile homes in Kentucky. He was fired for insubordination. Mike Weaver was fired for low production. Tony Toscano told us he resigned out of frustration and despair. And that 1986 audit was John Cressman's last for Prudential. He was transferred and later resigned. Prudential is refusing to turn over Cressman's report to regulators. And that's not the only document problem.
I filled a dumpster full and had the trash people come and pick up the dumpster and fill up another dumpster full.
Former District Manager Ron Ward is one of several former Prudential employees who told us about the destruction of improper sales materials. In this case, after he got a memo from his vice president's office. It says, we just learned this morning that one state is looking into possible violations regarding our private pension materials. You must destroy all private pension letters other than the approved versions. Again, destroy and discard any other letters. Will you read this memo to me then? And tell me what you think it means. Myers says they weren't hiding documents from regulators, they were just protecting consumers.
We are asking people in our offices for materials that could be misleading. We're asking that those be destroyed so that they are not misused.
I think the company knew the regulators were looking at them, and they felt that let's get these hidden, destroyed, purged.
Primetime has also seen affidavits from several agents around the country describing a continuous and wholesale destruction of potentially incriminating sales and marketing materials.
If it has been destruction of evidence, that's obstruction of justice, and that will be handled in the criminal court system.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Prudential.
Which brings us to today. Prudential has set up a hotline to help provide restitution to anyone who was misled.
The dividends from the older policies are going to be used, or the cash values are going to be used?
The dividend.
And the company says to make sure customers are treated fairly today.
It just hurts to have been misled like this.
We have a totally different management team, totally new procedures, totally new systems, and a new set of accountabilities. They can expect an agent who's going to deal with them honestly and fairly.
So Primetime decided to visit a couple of agents we'd heard about, one in New York, one in Texas. 2 real Prudential customers agreed to help us, though we had the hidden cameras. What happens? Well, it reminded us of tactics we'd heard about before. Prudential tells us it's generally in a customer's best interest to hold on to old policies. But the agent in Houston says the opposite, advising the customer to cash in a perfectly fine old policy with another company, Northwestern Mutual, to buy a new Prudential policy.
Why am I getting rid of? Should I have kept my Northwestern Mutual policy also? Okay. Well, why am I getting rid of that?
was not doing anything for you.
I haven't given up anything other than, okay.
You gained.
Gained? Well, we had the Consumer Federation of America analyze this deal. It says the consumer's new policy would have to earn more than 9% annually for 20 years to break even. When we went to Syracuse, New York, the agent there made a pitch to finance a new policy with dividends from old ones, while downplaying the risk the dividends might fall short.
So you're saying it's an asset to use those dividends?
Yeah, I have about 1,000 people using their dividends. Prudential pisses you, pardon the expression, gets mad, okay? And they bend out of shape and they send me a letter and they send you a letter and all that other stuff because why? They gotta pay the interest twice now.
On another visit, the agent repeatedly assures his customer of reliable high returns on an insurance policy with stock investments, an assurance Prudential says he shouldn't make.
Right? Right?
He makes it sound risk-free.
Why isn't everybody in the world doing this?
Well, because the simple fact is I haven't had a chance yet to talk to everybody in the world.
By the way, this salesman was recently awarded Local Agent of the Month. Prudential says because of what we witness, it's investigating both agents, and that it's already fired 1,000 agents and managers for wrongdoing. But a footnote. Just 3 weeks ago, Primetime was handed a confidential internal report dated June of this year, listing more than 1,000 current agents with multiple complaints against them for things like misrepresentation and forgery.
Well, I don't want to use the word crooks, but they were a large enough company so they didn't have to do this kind of thing to get along.
Once and for all, this problem needs to be fixed for good. This should never happen again. And I was concerned that unless more light was put on the problem, it could very easily happen again.
And now some important notes for you. Tonight we reported on Prudential, but you should know that agents in several other big insurance companies, including Metropolitan Life, John Hancock Equitable, and New York Life, have been accused of similar deceptive sales tactics. And we're not saying that you shouldn't buy life insurance. The important thing is to know what you need and exactly what it is you're buying. As for Prudential customers, the company has agreed to a plan that would settle the complaints and lawsuits against it, which some say could cost the company almost $2 billion. Though critics like the state of Florida say this restitution plan doesn't give customers enough money and makes it too hard for them to prove that they were harmed. One final point for you. If you are one of the 11 million people who bought a whole life insurance policy from Prudential after 1982, you face a deadline next Thursday, December 19th, to inform the court overseeing the settlement if you do not want to be part of the overall restitution plan, and if you prefer instead to take action on your own.
Such great advice. We'll be right back. There's a phrase at a national day that I love, and that is random acts of kindness. Can you just imagine, like, you're a waitress, and someone gives you $100 tip, or $100 as a tip, or a new electronic device as a huge thank you or a huge tip. On tonight's Viral Break, that's what happened. Big Dawes TV. He's like famous for all of his videos, but one got my eye. It was him tipping the iPhone 12. Now, this is when the pandemic happened. 6 minutes, but we're going to try to get through this. So let's take a look at when he started tipping.
So that's for you.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Oh, my speechless. Oh my god.
Okay. Oh, for the tip?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm just not in the mood to tip you because I actually just wanted to give you a brand new iPhone 12 instead.
An iPhone 12?
Yeah, the ones that just came out.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
For a tip.
Yeah, for a
For
tip.
orange juice.
Yeah. That's at least like 20%, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm being serious. So real quick, just being completely honest, I'm just not in the mood for tipping today. So I would just much rather give you a brand new iPhone 12 instead. No, I'm being serious. No, I'm being serious. So that's for you.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah. Can I tell you something? I just really don't like tipping that much. So instead of tipping, I was just gonna see if I could give you a brand new iPhone 12.
What?
Yeah.
Really? Are you sure?
Would you like that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, well that's all for you.
Really?
Yeah, they just came out and I got some of them, so I wanted to make your day. I just wanted to let you know that I tipped you $0. Just because, like, I would rather tip you the new iPhone 12 instead.
Are you joking?
No, I'm being serious.
Thank you so much. That means everything to me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope you have a great day. Yeah, I'm being dead serious. It's for you. I want you to have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, of course. You can hug me. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
I'm being serious.
Thank you. Why?
Just because I wanted to make your day.
Oh my god. What?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Man, these are delicious.
I'm so glad you like them.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a big tipper, but I might have to actually tip you now, right?
Because of the fries?
Because of the fries.
Love that.
No. Honestly though, I just wanted to make somebody's day today, so instead of leaving you a tip, I'm gonna give you the brand new iPhone 12.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the brand new iPhone 12 as a tip.
For what? Dude, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Really made my day.
Awesome.
Can I get you anything?
Nope.
Water to
I'm
go?
alright.
Oh my god, dude. Give me a hug.
Alright, cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're amazing. Yeah, you're welcome. We're filming that. He's right there. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. It's okay if we use that for our video? Awesome. Buy me another drink? Okay, sure. Thank you. Sure, I'll do the same one.
All four of my wisdom teeth now, so I was like,
There you go. You need to pick me up. That's awesome. You're welcome. We're filming that for a YouTube video. He's right there.
I'm like going back into it's been a rough month.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm glad I could help make your day. There's no strings attached, actually. We're filming a YouTube video. He's right there.
Oh.
And we're tipping servers iPhone 12s today. So,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is it a real thing?
It's a real thing. We've given out like 7 of them so far.
Oh my god! Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's amazing. I love today.
Yeah, it's a great day.
This is a great day.
You're awesome.
You're awesome. Some of those fries.
Absolutely. You're actually the last one of the day, so we're gonna exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Let's try to get 100,000 likes on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. And like I said earlier, I'm giving away one iPhone on my Instagram. All you gotta do to enter that giveaway is follow Big Dots TV on Instagram and also follow every account that I'm following. There's really not that many, so hit the follow button on all of those. The winner will be announced on Instagram on December 1st. Be ready for that, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
What a great way to end off on. So if you happen to see someone like him give away iPhone 12s or $100 tips, accept it anyway because you had a bad day or whatever, a bad week. Just accept it. Don't walk away from it. Accept it. You want to film it for a YouTube video? Hey, it can be next viral break. We're going to do assignment break today. I want you to film a video of random acts of kindness. I want you to film somebody tipping $100 or tipping them an electronic device. Send it to me, and we'll show it on our next viral break. That's giving me a break for this Saturday going to Sunday for Random Acts of Kindness. We will see you again for Give Me a Break Monday. For all of us here at YouTube, Give Me a Break. Always be kind and be random. Of Random Acts of Kindness, and always treat each other with respect. No jaywalking, concentration, not strength. Your body, it's your body, and it's your choice. So, do better. Have a good night.